Hey everyone, in this episode, I'm going to continue talking about some things regarding the trade war between the U.S. and China. We're going to talk about some retaliatory tariffs and potential financial issues in the Middle Kingdom. So, stay tuned. All right, everybody, let's continue the discussion on the China-U.S. trade war. Let's see what's going on in the land of the Middle Kingdom and the United States. So something that came to light in Reuters that I'm looking at was that China is considering... It says the headline is China considers U.S. rare earth export curbs, Global Times editor. So rare earth minerals are minerals and resources used to produce things that we use in like batteries, phones, things like that, maybe chips, stuff like that. I'm not sure of all the intricacies of it, but they're very important minerals, and we get a large percentage of them from China. So let's take a look here. Basically, China's looking to leverage their exports of rare earth minerals on the United States. So let's take a look. This is from Reuters. It says Beijing is seriously considering restricting exports to the United States of rare earths, 17 chemical elements used in high-tech consumer electronics and military equipment, the editor-in-chief of China's Global Times said on Tuesday. Rising trade tensions have led to concerns that Beijing will use its dominant position as a supplier of rare earths for leverage in the trade war between the United States and China. A senior official from China's National Development and Reform Commission told the Xinhua news agency on Tuesday that Beijing will give domestic demand for rare earths priority, but will meet reasonable demand from other countries. It goes on to say that based on... There was a reporter that said, based on what he knows, China is seriously considering restricting rare earth exports to the U.S. And according to Reuters, 80% of the U.S.'s imports of rare earths minerals come from China. And China has increased the tariffs from 10% and will increase them to 25% in June. So we see that this is clearly, on the trade front, a tit-for-tat between the United States and China. I've got to say this isn't really surprising. I think this is pretty expected given that it looks like, there's a lot of stuff going on between the U.S. and China right now, and it looks like China is going to try to pull this out as long as possible. I don't know if they're going to give in, but it does look like that that the U.S., Trump is playing very, very hard with the Chinese right now, very hard. But it looks like everybody wants a trade deal. Another thing that popped up today, which was interesting, was a article, and I guess another one by Reuters. It says Huawei is reviewing their relationship with FedEx because it says packages were diverted. The Chinese telecoms equipment maker Huawei is reviewing its relationship with FedEx after it claimed the U.S. package delivery company, without detailed explanation, diverted 2 parcels destined for Huawei addresses in Asia to the United States and attempted to reroute to others. Huawei told Reuters on Friday that FedEx diverted 2 packages sent from Japan and addressed to Huawei in China to the United States, and attempted to divert 2 more packages sent from Vietnam to Huawei offices elsewhere in Asia, all without authorization, providing images of FedEx tracking records. Reuters could not verify the authenticity of the records. Shown the images of the tracking records, FedEx declined to make any comment, saying company policy prevented it from disclosing customer information. Huawei said the 4 packages only contained documents and no technology, which Reuters was unable to independently confirm. Huawei declined to elaborate on why it thought the packages were diverted. So it says we will now have to review our logistics and document delivery support requirements as a direct result of these incidents, the spokesman said. Huawei acknowledged that Reuters that one package originating in Vietnam was received by Friday, and the other was on its way, according to FedEx tracking records provided by Huawei. Okay. FedEx spokeswoman told Reuters the packages were misrouted in error. She acknowledged in an earlier statement that the U.S. Department of Commerce had recently added Chinese companies and affiliates to its entity list, but did not elaborate. FedEx was not requested to divert the packages by any other party, she added. FedEx China on Tuesday apologized on its Chinese social media account for the mishandling of Huawei packages and confirmed there was no external pressure to divert the packages. So, I don't know if this is going to be anything. It's probably not. And in fact, I'm just going to ignore that and not really comment on it until there's more information. I think probably the most important news is that we see China may enact higher tariffs on rare earth minerals, and so that could negatively impact the United States. At the same time, though, we're putting a lot of pressure on them, as well as China's also dealing with African swine fever, which is supposedly really taking out big swaths of their pork production. I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. I haven't done my research. But one other piece of China news I want to talk about, actually we'll continue there in a second. Go ahead and do the sponsors, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, this ad is about a podcast called A Little About a Lot podcast. I have not seen it, so take it at your own risk. A Little About a Lot is a variety show by YouTubers, Kelsey and Becky, behind the channel The Sorry Girls. Kelsey and Becky spill tea about their personal lives, talk about the struggles of relationships and dating. Becky is married and Kelsey is not. Oh my. Research their favorite celebs from the 90s, answer audience questions, interview some badass people, and more. We want to challenge perspectives and leave our audience feeling refreshed, inspired, and with a little more knowledge about a lot. Search your podcast app for A Little About a Lot podcast and subscribe to the A Little About a Lot podcast. And that is it for this. Okay, so last week on my Twitter feed, following some interesting people, Adam Townsend, a girl named Dovey Wan, and it's really, really good accounts. And somebody basically posted last week that there was a bank in China that was basically going under. And I presume, from what I understand, it basically too many bad loans, too much bad debt on their books. And so, however, they're heavily indebted to other banks. And so from some of the research I did, basically there's a bank in Inner Mongolia that had to be taken over by the People's Bank of China. And I think it's called Baoshang Bank. And they're in Inner Mongolia, which is in a northern central area of China, in between China and Russia. And I'm not exactly sure what prompted the takeover or like what precipitated the event, but people are speculating, of course, that it could be the beginning of a contagion, basically the spread of more financial problems, more financial panic. I don't know. I don't know if anybody knows what's going to happen. One thing to remember that I think we all need to remember is that a lot of banking and finance, it's a lot of it's arithmetic, but also a lot of it is perception as well, right? People aren't going to do a run on your bank and take out all their deposits if they think you're going to be safe, which could actually help you get through some critical issues if the math isn't so bad. But aside from that, it looks like that China might have that situation under control for now, but at the same time, it's something to look out for. So to recap here on the financial front, we've got the U.S. is hitting China hard with tariffs on a large amount of goods. We are looking at different ways to go after Huawei for IP theft and for, potential, also for the 5G race. In addition to that, the Chinese look like they're having some stress in their financial system. And so It will be interesting to see how this continues to play out. But right now, it looks like the Chinese are getting ready to retaliate at the beginning of next month in June with a hike on the cost of importing rare earth minerals to the United States. So that's all I've got for today. And I hope you guys enjoy.